What's up guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to get the most flavor possible out of 20 bucks. This is my recipe for honey chipotle chicken and rice. Meet me in the kitchen, let's make it happen. Alright guys, a lot of times budget-friendly meals can get the reputation of being boring and bland, but today I'm going to show you a few techniques to really enhance the flavor of this recipe. We're going to get the party started by marinating the chicken. Takes a couple hours if you have the time, but it's going to elevate the flavor drastically, and it's going to make the chicken even better the next day if you're making this for meal prep. Next up is going to be the rice. You could take the lazy approach and just make regular old boiled in a bag white rice, or you can follow this recipe and have the most flavor-packed rice you've ever had in your life. And finally, I'm going to make a delicious sauce to go on top of the final plate. This will store in the refrigerator for up to a week as well, so you can use it with your meal prep or whatever else you want to make today. All right, guys, when it comes to budget-friendly meals, your protein is usually going to be the most expensive item that you buy. When you want to save a little bit of money, the best option, in my opinion, is either going to be chicken thighs, chicken drums, or pork chops. Today, we're going with chicken thighs, and I'm going to show you this fantastic marinade. It's super simple. You just need a little lime juice, some olive oil, some chipotle peppers and adobo, some garlic, and a few seasonings. Next up, it's time to impart a lot of flavor into these chicken thighs. We have this delicious marinade that we just blended up. You can do this in a food processor, immersion blender, stand blender, NutriBullet, really whatever you got. Let's get all that marinade on in there. And then we're gonna get in there with our hands and just massage that marinade into the chicken. You can do this overnight if you have the time. Put it in a vacuum sealed bag or a Ziploc, put it in the fridge, or you can just do it for a couple hours. Whatever you have the time for. The longer the better, obviously, but a couple hours to get the job done. Gonna be tons of flavor on this chicken. All right, my friends, now it's time to make this delicious honey chipotle mayo sauce that we're gonna use to top our chicken over rice. Here we have 1 cup of mayo. I like to use Duke's. Going in with the juice of 1 lime right on into that mayo. Nice size mixing bowl. You're gonna need that. You guys might have noticed that I used the peppers for the marinade. I'm saving the sauce from the chipotles and adobo for the mayo sauce that we're making. So juice of 1 lime. This is a rather juicy one. Lots of lime juice. Going to add a little bit of acidity, kind of brighten things up for us. We're going in with the spice and the smokiness of the chipotles and adobo sauce. Get that all in there. Then we're going in with the honey to kind of offset the spice a little bit, give some balance to the sauce. We're running towards the end of our honey. We're gonna need at least 2 to 3 tablespoons of this. Get that in there. Always season to taste. A little AP seasoning to cover all our flavor bases. Salt, pepper, garlic, onion powder. And then a pinch of chicken bouillon just to add a little bit of MSG and some delicious flavor as well to really make this sauce well-rounded. About a half a teaspoon of that. Break out the whisk and mix to combine. We'll throw this in a squirt bottle. You can use it, you know, all week on your salads, your wraps, your tacos, really whatever you want. Probably good on a burger too if you go on a little more like Mexican style burger. Now for some home cooks or even professional chefs like the ones that work in my kitchen, cooking rice can be a little bit of a struggle. It can be intimidating if you've messed it up a few times, but this method is super easy. We're gonna add a lot of flavor by adding chicken bouillon. The sazon that has turmeric in it's gonna add some great color and flavor. Little garlic, little onion. We're gonna cook the rice per package instructions. We have 1 cup of parboiled rice that we're gonna add that we cleaned. And then we're also gonna add 2.5 cups of water and season to taste. We got a little cumin, a little oregano, and the other seasonings we discussed. Super easy, 20 minutes, and you have the best rice that you've ever had. Reheats great the next day and pairs beautifully with this chicken we're about to make. Now, to pair with the rice and the chicken, we're gonna make a little quick salad. Real simple, romaine, tomatoes, a little cilantro, a little olive oil, a little salt and pepper. Keep it super simple. Really just there to add some crunch and a little freshness. It's optional. You can make a real salad if you want to, but remember, we only had 20 bucks to play with, so that's what we're making. All right, guys, next up, it's time to cook our chicken. We got about 15 minutes left on the rice. The salad is prepped. It's time to cook the chicken. Going in with a little olive oil. Our oven is preheated to 400 degrees. We're gonna sear the chicken, get some great color, finish it in the oven. This whole meal outside of the marinade time can be done in about 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes max, depending on how fast you prep. Once the skillet gets nice and hot, I'm gonna add the chicken and allow that to sear and get some great color. You're looking for 175 degrees internal temperature on your chicken thighs. We'll get them nice and crispy, browned up, and then we're gonna chop it up and plate it over our rice. Can't beat this for 20 bucks, guys. All right, guys, it's time for the moment of truth. We're gonna plate this up, a bed of flavorful rice, perfectly cooked chicken, and a little salad with the sauce on top. This is the part where I say, brace yourself for a trademark money shot. Say it with me, guys, looking good. The only thing left to do is dig in for the taste test, but before we do that, please take a quick second to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell to enable notifications as well. All right, guys, it's time to dig in. I found my fork. Quick reminder, this recipe and all of my recipes can be found in detail with pictures, printable directions at mrmakeithappen.com. Without further ado, it's time to dig in. I am hungry. The chicken looks perfect. The rice is great. I'm gonna hit it with a little salad, I think. There we go. Cheers. Spicy. Well, so damn good. Today we're back in the kitchen for another ballin' on a budget recipe where I show you guys how to cut the cost without cutting the flavor. I'll be showing you my recipe for smothered chicken. Meet me in the kitchen, let's make it happen. All right, guys, in my opinion, the key to balling on a budget is using what you have already at home. That way you don't have to spend any extra money. So today we're gonna flavor the rice with very simple ingredients that I already had in the fridge. We got tomato paste, we got garlic, we got onion, a little chicken broth. Things that most people have in the pantry or the refrigerator. Use what you have. If you got some cilantro and lime, you can make a cilantro lime rice. If you got yellow rice, you can make that. If you want plain old white rice, then do your thing, add a little butter, salt, and pepper. It's gonna be delicious. But use what you have to save yourself a couple bucks. Today we're gonna fry the chicken. You don't have to, you can roast it, or you can use a chicken quarter or chicken thigh bone in. Today we're using boneless breast, and we're gonna fry it and then smother it in gravy and onions. And we're gonna pair that with some green beans, again, because that's what I had in the fridge. Green beans are inexpensive and they're delicious. All right, so here you have a few options. You can leave them whole like we're doing today. These are boneless, skinless chicken breasts, about 8 ounces per breast. If you have a family with some small children, 8 ounces may be a large portion for them. What I would do in this scenario would be to butterfly the chicken, which is basically cutting them in half. Then you have 6 portions, which even stretches the money even further. Today, we're gonna go ahead and cover these with some saran wrap. Use a rubber mallet, a meat tenderizer, or a rolling pin to flatten them out, make them nice and even. That way they fry evenly. Now, after you give your chicken a thorough beat down like we just did, it's time to season it up. We're going down with my all-purpose seasoning and a little lemon bay. Feel free to use whatever seasoning you got at home that you like. A little Cajun seasoning would work here nicely. Some Italian seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic, onion powder, things of that nature. Use whatever you have, or if you want to buy mine, you can grab that at mrmakeithappen.com. All of my recipes, including this one, can be found at mrmakeithappen.com as well. But again, 2 seasonings, real simple, AP, lemon bay, generous coating. We're also gonna season the flour a little bit that we fry this in. Think smothered pork chops, but we're using chicken. So we're gonna fry the chicken, smother it in the gravy, let it finish cooking in the gravy. Some onions, some rice, some green beans. Nice meal for 3 to 6, all for under 25 bucks. Even cheaper if you use chicken thighs. Probably can get it under 20 bucks then. All right, so we got our onions diced for the rice. Now I'm gonna use a mandolin to thinly slice the onion that we're to use for the gravy. If you don't have a mandolin, no big deal. You can use a knife, regular preparation. If you do have a mandolin, just protect your fingers because these are super sharp. You don't wanna cut yourself. They have guards and stuff for them too, so we're not gonna use that today though. Just again, real thin slices, perfect for a nice onion gravy for smothered chicken, smothered pork chops. Give you guys a peek at what they're looking like. Nice and even all the way through. And just repeat that for all of your onion. We're gonna use that for our onion gravy. Next up, my friends, it's time to make some seasoned rice. I don't know what to call this. We're just making it up, but it's gonna be delicious. We got a little tomato paste, a little onion, a little garlic, a little parsley, some chicken bouillon powder. We're gonna add some butter, and we're gonna cook our rice with chicken broth instead of water for additional flavor. All right, 2 tablespoons of butter. We're gonna melt that down. And then we're gonna add in our onion. You want to sweat down the onion until it starts to get nice and tender, starts to release its liquid. Then we're going to go in with a tablespoon or so of garlic. 1 to 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Just give it some color, a little concentrated tomato flavor. I'm also going to add some of my buttery garlic pepper seasoning. It's going to play off the butter and the garlic that's already in here. And then a little bit of chicken bouillon powder just for some added flavor. If you want to spice it up, you can add a pinch of cayenne. I'm going to do that, but it's optional. You don't have to if you don't want to add any spice to this. Just a pinch. Give that a mix, and then we're going to add in 1 cup of long grain white rice. We're going to toast it in there for about a minute or 2 before we add our liquid. 2 cups of chicken broth. This is low sodium chicken broth. We're going to add that, bring it up to a boil, give it a mix, cover it with the lid, 15-20 minutes. You got yourself some delicious rice to go with our smothered chicken. Now, my friends, it's time to bread our chicken. We're keeping it real simple today. No egg wash because we're balling on a budget and eggs are damn expensive. Here we have 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to use a half packet of Sazón and some of my all-purpose seasoning. That's all you need. We season the chicken thoroughly. You can season the flour a little bit more if you want to, but it's really not necessary if you season the chicken well. So I'm going to give that a good mix. And then we're just going to, lightly bread the chicken. Fry it at 350 degrees until it's golden brown. Now, the oil is at 350 degrees and it's time to fry some chicken. We're going in with our lightly breaded chicken breast. Always lay away from you. Shallow frying these. Looking for a nice golden brown color. We don't have to fully cook them either. They can get to, 145, 150 degrees, almost all the way there. And then we'll finish them in that gravy. Scoot them over a little bit, make a little room for your friends here. You want to move them around a little bit, make sure they're not sticking to each other or sticking to the bottom, because if they stick to the bottom, they're going to burn. So just give them a little bit of time, probably about 5 or 6 minutes in total. Then we're going to place them on a wire rack, let them drain a second, get started on our gravy, and then finish the chicken in the gravy. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and remove about half of the oil from the frying pan. You can do this in a separate pan if you want to. We're keeping it old school, frying it or making the gravy right in the same pan we fried the chicken in. So right now we're gonna go ahead and add in our onions, start to caramelize those. I've turned the heat off so that we don't get any splatter. So we're gonna fry up these onions, scraping up any brown bits off the bottom. That's the fun and flavor that we're getting from that fried chicken. You're gonna go equal parts of oil and flour to make our roux. So get that flour in there. Work that around, cook that for a couple minutes to get that raw flour taste out of there. Then we'll start to add in our chicken broth. All right, guys, the chicken is done, the rice is done, the green beans are done, the gravy is perfect. It's time to plate this up. This is the part where I say brace yourself for a trademark money shot. Say it with me, guys, looking good. The only thing left to do is dig in for the taste test, but before we do that, please take a quick second to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell to enable notifications as well. All right, people, I found my knife and my fork. Quick reminder that this recipe and all recipes can be found at MrMakeItHappen.com. All right, this is given like grandma's after playing outside all day for dinner. Gravy, old school gravy, chicken, lightly fried. It would have been white rice or mashed potatoes, but we doctored it up a little bit. Let's see what we got. Juicy chicken. So good. Rice is perfect. I love the little crunchy bits that you get from making the gravy with the fried chicken. Gets those little fried chicken bites within the gravy. It's really nice. For 25 bucks, feed 3 to 6 people, you can't be mad at this. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today we're back in the kitchen for another episode of Ballin' on a Budget. Today I'm going to show you one of my favorite go-to inexpensive meals. This taco casserole recipe is extremely versatile. You can use this as a quick weeknight dinner, a meal prep option, or a party appetizer. And the best part is you can feed up to 8 to 10 people for less than 30 bucks. Meet me in the kitchen, let's make it happen. All right guys, one of the issues with these quick, easy, inexpensive meals is a lot of times it's hard to get freshness into the recipe. We're solving that problem today by making a fresh Pico de Gallo, really simple, inexpensive ingredients, and you can whip it up really quickly. The best part is you can save it and use some of it as a snack in between. All right, half an onion's going into this Pico. We're gonna use 1 or 2 jalapenos depending on how spicy you want this to be. All right, so for texture purposes, I like to core the tomato, which is basically just taking out the core and the seeds and all that good stuff, leaving behind most of the flesh and the skin, which is going to, have a little bit more bite. It's not going to be as watery and soft, which is kind of like most people that say they don't like tomatoes is usually a textural thing. So this will kind of help out with that. And it's just, kind of makes it look a little bit more presentable too. So totally optional, but it's something I like to do when I'm making pico. All right, guys, super simple. All you got to do now is add all the ingredients, a little lime juice, season it up. If you want to add things like pineapple or mango, you can make a mango or pineapple pico at this point. You could also add things like a pinch of sugar if you want to sweeten it up, a little agave or honey. Really kind of customizable once you get all the ingredients prepped. I like to add some lime zest and then the juice of 1 lime as well. And then we'll season to taste. All right, guys, real quick, let's talk about kitchen tools for a second. This is called a microplane. You can use it to zest things like lemons, oranges, any kind of citrus. It's great for grating Parmesan cheese, things of that nature. It really can elevate your preparation in the kitchen as far as presentation and things like this when you're prepping something that's going to require some citrus zest. So I highly recommend getting you one of these. This is something that a lot of people don't own, but it's inexpensive and is a game changer for certain things like cheese and citrus. So we're gonna go ahead and zest a little bit more lime. We did some earlier. We're gonna zest this into our sour cream sauce here. This is gonna be a layer in the casserole as well. It's gonna add a little creaminess, a pop of citrus, obviously, some garlic flavor, and it's just gonna be, help the dish be a little bit more well-rounded. So in goes the zest. We're gonna add the juice as well. I'm gonna find my knife. Zest and juice of 1 lime. About a cup or so of sour cream. I didn't really measure it, kind of eyeballed it. You can measure though, a cup and a half should get the job done. It's a juicy lime. Next, we're going in with a tablespoon of garlic. Some tahini, which is going to add a little bit of acid as well because it's got some lime flavor in it too. And a little spice, pinch of sugar, offset that spice. A little AP seasoning to cover your flavor balance, or your flavor profile, I should say. Nice rubber whisk is another good tool to have in the kitchen. Gonna get in there and give everything a good mix. Taste as you go, adjust the flavor to your preference. You can make this nice and spicy if you want. You can add some cayenne or a little bit more tahini. Tahini's not really that spicy in my opinion, but some folks might say it is. All right, guys, next up, it's time to brown the meat. Today we're using ground beef, but you can feel free to substitute that with whatever you like. Ground chicken, ground turkey, a vegan option, totally customizable. I like to use half fatty, which is like 80-20, and then half lean. Makes a good ratio. I can usually find one of those on sale to make this a little bit more inexpensive. When you brown your ground beef, you want to make sure it makes good surface area contact with that skillet. That's going to have what's called the Maillard reaction, which is a fancy term for just browning and crisping up the meat. It's going to caramelize a bit, adds texture and flavor. Super critical. All right, guys, so you want to really develop some nice crust and color. What you see right here, some nice brownage on the beef. That's going to add flavor, texture, and it's gonna look better than just nobody wants gray beef. Now we're gonna go ahead and break it up with our spatula into small pieces, add in our onion, and then begin to season. All right, so for the seasoning, we're going in with my all-purpose seasoning. That's going to cover the bases. It's got some salt, pepper, garlic, onion powder, things of that nature. We also have some cumin, chili powder, 1 packet of Sazon, and a little bit of cayenne for some heat. As always, guys, all the specific measurements and ingredients for this recipe can be found at MrMakeItHappen.com. So we're going to go ahead and mix in the seasoning here. We're also going to add that half of a diced onion. Immediately, it's going to smell like taco night, which is exactly what you want to smell in your house. Once those seasonings hit the skillet, I'm going to work it in. You can add more or less depending on your preference and your, salt intake requirements. My AP seasoning is low sodium though, so you may want to add a pinch of salt to this. All right, my friends, now it's time to assemble the casserole. For that, you're going to need a casserole dish or a foil pan, depending on how fancy you're trying to be. We're going to preheat our oven to 400 degrees, and the very first layer we're going to add is our refried beans. Now, if you're not a fan of refried beans, you can skip this step or replace it with some seasoned rice at the bottom layer. Then after that, we're going to add our sour cream mixture that we added, followed by the beef, some cheese, beef, cheese, into the oven, 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. And you can serve this as a dip, you can serve it as an appetizer or a meal prep option. Totally delicious and inexpensive. All right, guys, after about 25 minutes in the oven at 400 degrees, our taco casserole or taco dip is finished. We're gonna let it cool for about 15 minutes before we dig in. I'm gonna garnish this up with that Pico de Gallo we made, some black olives, some cotija cheese, and a little more cilantro. This is the part where I say brace yourself for a trademark money shot. Say it with me, guys. Looking good. The only thing left to do is dig in for the taste test, but before we do that, please take a quick second to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell to enable notifications as well. All right, guys, you can serve this up with a burrito, a taco shell, taco, soft taco, whatever you want. You can serve it over rice. You can eat it as is. One of my favorite ways to do it is with Doritos. So, without further ado, I'm going to dig in for a taste test. Nice and cheesy. Get us a good scoop. Got too much dip on my chip. Damn, that's good. Let's go back for one more just to make sure it wasn't a fluke. Try this recipe.